Hello, my name is Lee Edward. I'm 32 years old and I was born without nipples. But they grew in, so don't worry. Well, I grew up the only child of a single mom, and her name was Diana, and she is an incredible woman and a hard worker. And being around her, it's like having a bouquet of bright spring flowers handed to you. And I love and appreciate her so much, and she did an incredible job raising me. As you can imagine, the term, single mom doesn't come without its share of sorrow. My life is a miracle, as you'll see in a minute. My mom married young, and her first husband's name was Bob Edward, and that was a really difficult relationship, and due to the level of violence that happened in that relationship, she ended up needing to file for a divorce and a restraining order. See, Bob had a really bad anger problem. Later, my mom met my biological dad, and I don't know anything about him. I've never actually seen a picture of him. He wouldn't allow any to be taken. This is where the miracle part comes in, because my mom and Bob had been married for about 8 years, tried to have children, and through multiple doctor's visits, fertility treatments, all the kind of stuff that women and couples that are having trouble having children go through, she went through. And none of it worked, and the doctor said, "You're incapable of having children for unknown reasons." Well, things were different with Sam, and she conceived. Sam being the name, at least, that is on my birth certificate for my dad. So she was able to conceive with Sam, and she's always told me that she had an intense fever for 7 days. And during that period, she conceived, or I was conceived. During that period of 7 days, she had this intense fever. And I know it sounds a bit far-fetched, but something dramatic must have happened considering her history. There she was, pregnant and mystified. The unfortunate piece was that Sam gave her an ultimatum. He said, "Have an abortion or I'm leaving." And so Mom made her decision, obviously. I'm here. And the last time that she saw Sam was actually a little bit after I was born. I was about 6 months old. We were living in San Jose, California, and Mom was window shopping and holding me, and she actually saw Sam's reflection in the window as she was looking into one of the stores. And she turned around to see him, and he had disappeared into the crowd. And that was the last time that Sam was in our world. So Mom became a single parent, having one dream realized and another dream violently taken away. We were struggling to make ends meet, and I knew that, and I resented it. But I remember one of my counselors at the elementary school I was going to, his name was Mr. Fox, and there was this one time where he bought me a pair of shoes because I was in need and we didn't have any money for them. And that's like burned into my brain, the feeling of that and his name. I saw a video on MTV, back when MTV used to have music videos, of Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit when I was 13 years old. And I immediately connected with that song. And I knew that I had to make this kind of music. And that was really the first time I'd ever actually connected with something that I can remember. Well, we can only find one drumstick, but we're gonna make do with what we could find, capture this moment in time, produce some sounds divine. Oh, that was not divine. My mom helped me buy an acoustic guitar to invest in that dream of mine. And a little bit after that, a friend of mine whose dad was a musician helped my mom get an affordable bass guitar and amplifier. And that's how I started playing bass. I used to push my amp on my skateboard across town to go to band practice. That's what we called it anyway. I'm sure it sounded awful, but that was my start. Nice. 15 years old, and the fro was as big as ever. That was my first bass. When I was 17, I started playing bass on a worship band at a local church in the town I lived in, Dallas. For about 6 months, I had been going there, and I wasn't actually a follower of Jesus, but I didn't know that at the time. And one Sunday, the message was out of John 15. Jesus was recorded as speaking to his disciples, and he said, "I'm the vine, and you guys are the branches." And he said, "If you remain in me, if you remain connected to me, you will bear much fruit, but apart from me, you can do nothing." That was the first time where I felt I really heard God's voice and God speaking to me personally, and I knew that he was calling me to follow him in the same way that he called Peter and James and John to follow him. And so I did. I said yes. And I was baptized shortly after that. In 2005, I was moving back to Corvallis after finishing an internship to finish my degree. And through some dear friends, I got connected to Calvary Chapel Corvallis, and then got connected to Real Life, which is the college ministry of Calvary. And that was the ministry that really served to facilitate some of the breakthroughs in my heart that I needed to be free of some of these unhealthy cycles and some of the unresolved anger. The breakthrough came through some close relationships with just incredible brothers and sisters in the Lord. I discovered such a deep love for them, and the love motivated me to want to serve and bless them. So I just began acting on some of those desires, and I began serving with Real Life. And that was the platform that really served to create the environment for the beautiful change and transformation to happen internally in my own life. It was these two things, love and serving others, that created the rich environment for growth. For the last 8 years, I've been serving as a staff member with Real Life. I had no idea what I was doing when I began. Trying to lead and mentor people and having no experience doing anything like that was kind of just felt like I was floundering a little bit. But I eventually found my stride, really helping people grow and blossom in the identity that they had in God and the gifts that they had and the calling that was on their life. And that's been extremely rewarding. What I found is that what you have to offer the world are the solutions you're finding for your own problems. I feel so incredibly blessed and thankful to be married. I never saw a healthy marriage until I was about 18 years old, and the whole thing was really a question mark to me. So I really just avoided it, and I think probably along the way I hurt a lot of people and relationships in the process. But God has been faithful to me in this area too. As I continued to say yes to him and chose to follow Jesus, it put me in positions where I had to risk my heart. I had to exercise faith. I had to grow as a leader. And by the way, the result of all of that is progressively more and more freedom. When I was 30 years old, I married my best friend named Natalie. I recognized that anything good I will be or do in life is going to flow out of this relationship. Every day with her is a gift, and we're learning to build something strong, something beautiful, something holy. And I'm really excited to be a dad someday soon. I hope to be one of many voices contributing to what leadership is, how it's relevant for us in 2016, and to create and cultivate a strong culture of honor and leadership that the generations coming after us will be able to walk in. To sum it all up, if you want to grow, start following Jesus. You can do that. You don't have to be a certain person or have done certain things. Wherever you're at, you can start following him today. Just make sure that you link up with other people that are also following Jesus. Seek out leaders, mentors, and coaches to pour into your life. Every stage of life that you're at, you need somebody pouring into you, somebody pushing you to go further. Set your heart and imagination to add value to other people's lives. Start thinking, how can I add beauty? How can I help another person realize their dream? How can I help those around me grow and learn and improve? That's ultimately what's going to bring healing to your own life. Your history doesn't have to be your destiny unless you choose to repeat the past. Isn't it worth it to know that you broke the power of the past, and your children and those coming after you will never have to walk in those same unhealthy patterns. I think that our spirits know that's right. We know that that is love. And we'll see that wisdom will be vindicated by her children. Some of the breakthrough that you want to see in your own life, it's not for you, but it's for those who are coming after you. I've often visualized holding my great-grandchild in my arms and looking into his eyes and being able to say, I lived my life the way I lived it for you. That's holy. That's powerful. Not even having a picture of my biological dad was always really difficult for me. There was something inside of me that just wanted to see, this is who I came from. This is part of my history. And there's always been a big question mark there. But God has brought a lot of healing to my life, even here. And He has been a good father to me. But I will say, there's still a tension. There's a irreconcilable gap in my heart, still wanting to know what he looked like, what did his voice sound like, what things did he care about, what did he do, who was he? And I can't say that that will ever necessarily be answered. And so part of the healing of God looks like having peace and being okay, even in the tension. No leader that became great had an easy past, but it tends to be the people that lead in the most powerful ways lead from the area of their woundedness and their brokenness that has been made whole and healed. That's what makes you relatable. Nobody can relate to somebody that has no problems. The deeper your wound, the greater the healing, the greater your capacity to lead and to have compassion. Growing up without a dad, I very much recognized all of the ways that I was limited. Financially, because we only had one income. In terms of the family, we were always awkward. It was really hard for us to fit in anywhere, at church, in the community. And my mom had to be both mom and dad, so she was never really able to just be mom. And when I think about who I want to be as a dad, is that person that allows my wife, Natalie, to just be a mom and be an amazing mom. And she's going to allow me to be dad and be an amazing dad. And that my children will be able to begin at the places that I've reached and to build on those. And that there's going to be a momentum in their life because of the choices I've made and the life that I've lived, that they're not going to have to start from scratch. They're going to be able to be exposed to a healthy family environment, that will be their norm. They won't have to unlearn unhealthy ways and cycles of relationship and brokenness that they need to be healed of, but to be able to start from a place of strength, growing up in that protective shelter of healthy family. So may you learn to love and be authentic. Thanks for watching.